Hey guys, this is Seagrove, and I just finished an article and I wanted to make a video about the same topic. This video is going to be about the 8 most important matches for the Western fan in terms of regional pride and hope of their region doing something at Worlds. As you can see, I don't have Group A in here because there are no Western teams in that group, and there are certainly implications coming out of that group, but not as important as some of the others. So I'm just going to start. I have 8 matchups I want to talk about. I'm going to start with number 8 and work my way up to number 1. So my number 8 matchup, this is TPA versus SK. And SK had a great showing at Europe regionals, Europe playoffs, and they lost to Alliance, but it was the closest matchup that Alliance had. So despite that, they finished 3rd, right? But if they, as the 3rd seed from Europe, can beat TPA, who is obviously the Season 2 world champions, then that would be huge for Europe. Yes, TPA has had their issues, especially through Season 3, but they fixed a lot of them. Not that TPA is like as good relative to the competition now as they were, but if SK can beat them, that would be a huge statement for Europe. So my number 7 matchup is Fnatic versus LMQ. And Fnatic is expected to win, but LMQ could win. I mean, they have a chance. The reason I put this only as number 7, even though it's 2 Western teams, is because it's a 3rd seed and a 2nd seed. There's no 1st seed involved. And this teams don't have like a huge rivalry or anything, and Fnatic is expected to win. So for Fnatic, this isn't a huge match. Like, they're supposed to win. If they win, okay, good job. But for LMQ, this is a pretty big match, right? If LMQ can win this, that's certainly a really good thing for the team and for NA. To say, you know, our 3rd seed beat your number 2 seed. So my next game is TSM versus Royal Club. And Royal Club is expected not only to win this matchup, but to win the entire group. So yes, Royal Club is expected to win. Yes, I expect them to win. But that being said, I think TSM, even though they're outmatched in terms of skill as a team, TSM matches up pretty well in terms of what their strengths are and how they, I would say, in some ways counter Royal Club's strengths and weaknesses. But I still give the edge to Royal Club. But if TSM could win this, especially with Royal Club having some internal issues, TSM might have a chance. And if they do, for the number 1 NA seed to beat the number 2 Chinese seed would be huge for NA. So that's why I give this my number 6 spot. My number 5 spot is OMG versus LMQ. And this matchup is my favorite matchup. So this is like, whose Chinese is better, NA Chinese or China Chinese? This is the number 3 spot from each, and if LMQ could pull out a victory here, that would be awesome. Like, our 3rd seed is better than the Chinese 3rd seed, and it could happen. Like, Chinese OMG's Chinese OMG has a mid laner named Cool, and he is amazing. That said, he is pretty much OMG himself. Like, he's more of OMG than Faker is SKT. Like, if he fails, the team is done. And LMQ's mid laner Zhao Wei Zhao is really strong, and he's not as good as Cool, but he can potentially at least try and keep Cool from snowballing. And if he can stop Cool from snowballing, maybe the other lanes could pull LMQ out. Now, I think it's going to be hard for LMQ because I don't know this, but I assume that LMQ has looked up to OMG as like a powerhouse from China from when, you know, they were growing up in League, I guess you could say. Even though League obviously hasn't been around that long. But the other thing is, in China, my understanding is Zhao Wei Zhao is not actually considered a very strong laner. So mentally, I think, a very strong player. So mentally, I think this could be a really hard game for LMQ. But they have the potential to win it. My number 4 matchup is actually Fnatic versus OMG. And this matchup is really, really, really important for Europe. And that is because especially for Fnatic, because obviously Fnatic got to semis last year, and that was with Puju, who was an excellent AD carry, but they got rid of him for Reckless, and Reckless is more talented than Puju. Now the question is Fnatic with Reckless better as a team relative to the modern competition than they were with Puju relative to that competition? So if they can't make it out of the groups, the answer is obviously no. So assuming Fnatic loses to Blue and beats LMQ, Fnatic has to win this game against OMG for themselves, for Europe, and for their fans. Like, what they put their fans through, like in the All-Stars, is pretty crazy. So we really want to see, Western fans really want to see Fnatic beat OMG. Now my number 3 matchup, this is purely a hope, and obviously some pride, but mainly a hope. Like, Alliance versus White Shield is my number 3. And this matchup is huge for the West. I laugh because I think of Alliance as like the John Henry of the West, and then White Shield would be the steam-powered hammer. So if Alliance, who is touted as the best Western team, can't beat White Shield, who's the worst of the 3 Korean teams at Worlds, then we're all screwed. This is the best Western team versus the worst of the 3 Korean teams. So we really need Alliance to at least have a really strong showing against White Shield to have any hope. So that's why I laugh at this matchup. My number 2 matchup is TSM versus SK, and TSM should beat SK, right? Because TSM is the number 1 and SK is the number 3 in Europe. And I think they will. Like, TSM beat Cloud9, who in my mind is a better version of SK, like not strong laning but very great strategical play. So TSM should beat SK. That said, SK again did really great at regionals and could upset TSM. So for TSM, this is like a must win, because they're supposed to win this game. And for SK, if they are able to win this game, if they don't, it's not a big deal. I mean, it is for the team, but not for the region. But if they do win, that is huge for Europe. If SK beats TSM, unless LMQ and Cloud9 2-0 their matchups against their European teams, NA can say pretty much nothing about NA better than EU. Like, if the number 3 seed beats the number 1 seed from NA, then what can an NA fan say about, oh, our region's better than Europe? So TSM really needs to win this for NA fans, and SK, it would be awesome for them if they were able to beat TSM. And then my number 1 matchup obviously is Alliance versus Cloud9. This is it. This is the undisputed best team in Europe versus a team that many believe is the best in North America. Who's the best team in the West? These 2 games between Alliance and Cloud9 could decide that. Alliance has stronger laners, but Cloud9 has better shot calling. And I think this is really exemplified in the mid lane. Like, you have Hai, who's not the best laner historically, but who is an amazing shot caller. And then you have Froggen, who is this beast mid laner, and he makes a lot of great decisions. And not that he has bad shot calling, but not as good as Hai. So it's going to come down, in my mind, to the mid lane. If Alliance can totally dumpster Hai in the mid lane, they should be able to win. If Hai can, keep it pretty even, Cloud9 should be able to win in the late game. So I'm really excited, obviously, about all these matchups. Leave a comment, tell me who you think is going to win these matchups, and if there's any other important matchups that I left off. Obviously there are. I think maybe even number 9 would be EDG versus White, but I'm not getting into that because it's not as pertinent to the Western pride and hope for Worlds. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, this is Seagrove. You can follow me at SeagroveLol.